my name is Leo and welcome to another reading of the Elder Scrolls. Today we're going to be reading The Mystery of Princess Talara, Part 3 by Mira Lisk. Last episode, what happened? The grandmother basically told her that she's Princess Talara, and then she met up with the guy, I forgot his name, Lord Style, and she's explaining the whole story. Norbuth was leaving his favourite pub in Camelon, the Breaking Branch, when he heard someone calling his name. His was not the sort of name that could be mistaken for another. He turned and saw Lord Errol, the royal battle mage from the palace, emerge from the darkness of the alley. "My lord," said Norbuth with a pleasant smile. "I'm surprised to see you out here this evening, Norbuth," grinned Lord Errol, with a most unpleasant smile. "I've not seen you and your master very much since the millennial celebration, but I understand you've been very busy. What I've been wondering is what you've been busy doing." "Protecting the imperial interest in Camelot is busy work, my lord. But I cannot imagine you would be interested in the minutiae of the ambassador's appointments." "But I am," said the battle mage. "Especially as the ambassadors become acting most mysteriously, most undiplomatically lately. And I understand that he has taken one of the whores from the flower festival into his house. I believe her name is Gina." Norbuth shrugged. "He's in love, I would imagine, my lord. It can make men act very strangely. I'm sure you've heard before." "As I'm sure you've heard before." "She is the most comely wench," laughed Lord Errol. "Have you noticed how much she remembers the late Princess Talara?" "I've only been in Camelot for 15 years, my lord. I never saw her late majesty." "Now I could understand it if he has taken to writing poetry. But what man in love spends his days in the kitchens of the palace, talking to old servants? That hardly sounds like molten passion to me, even based on my limited experience." Lord Errol rolled his eyes. "And what is this business he has now in, what was the name of that village?" "Unbrington," replied Norbuth, and immediately wished he hadn't. Lord Errol was too canny an actor to reveal it, but Norbuth knew at the pit of his stomach that the battle mage did not even know Lord Strowl had left the capital. He had to get away from the ambassador. He had to get away to let the ambassador know. But there was still a game to be carefully played. "He's not leaving for there till tomorrow, I believe. It's just to put a stamp on some deed that needs the imperial seal." "Is that all? How tedious for the poor fellow. I suppose I'll see him when he returns, then." Lord Errol bowed. "Thank you for being so informative. Farewell." The moment the royal battle mage turned the corner, Norbuth leapt onto his horse. He had drunk 1 or 2 ales too many, but he knew he must find his way to Unbrington before Lord Errol's agents did. He galloped east out of the capital, hoping there were signs along the road. Seated in a tavern that smelled of mildew and sour beer, Lord Sterile throwing stuff around, marveled at how the Emperor's agent, Lady Brasenia... Hey, do I know that name? Isn't that the name of the chick from Daggerfall? The contact? Yeah, it is. Isn't it? I mean, it's a very similar name at least. So at the beginning of the game, you have to go to a town to contact Lady Britannia. She gives you like a bunch of missions. Basically, well, I wouldn't say holds your hand through the whole main story quest of Daggerfall, but you know, more or less. Anyway, marveling at how the Emperor's agent Lady Britannia always found the most public places for her most private of conferences. It was harvest time in Embrington, and all the field hands were drinking away their meagre wages in the noisiest of fashions. He was dressed appropriately for the venue, rough trousers and a simple peasant's vest, but he still felt conspicuous. In comparison to his two female companions, he certainly was. The woman to his right was used to frequenting the low places of Daggerfall as a common prostitute. Lady Britannia to his left was even more clearly in her element. My one... I don't know what voice I want to do for her. By what name would you prefer I call you? Lady Britannia asked, solicitously. I am used to the name Gina, though that may have to change, was her reply. Of course, it may not. Gina the whore may be the name writ on my grave. I will see it that there is no attempt on your life like that in the Flower Festival, Lord Strowl frowned. But without the Emperor's help, I won't be able to protect you forever. The only permanent solution is to capture those who would do you harm and then to raise you to your proper station. Do you believe my story? Diana turned to Lady Britannia. I have been the Emperor's chief agent in High Rock for many years now, and I have heard few strange tales. If your friend the ambassador hadn't investigated and discovered what he has, I would have dismissed you outright as a madwoman. Britannia laughed, forcing a smile into Gina's face to match. But now, yes, I do believe you. Perhaps that makes me the madwoman. Will you help us? Asked Lord Strowl simply. It is a tricky business, interfering in the affairs of the provincial kingdoms. Lady Britannia looked into the depths of her mug thoughtfully. Unless there is a threat to the Empire itself, we find it best not to meddle. What we have in your case is a very messy assassination that happened 20 years ago, and its aftermath. If His Imperial Majesty involved itself in every bloody hiccup in the succession in each of his 1,000 vassal kingdoms, he would never accomplish anything for the greater good of Tamriel. I understand, murmured China. When I remembered everything, who I was and what happened to me, I resolved to do nothing about it. In fact, I was leaving Camelot and going back home to Daggerfall when I saw Lord Strowl again. He was the one who began this quest to resolve this, not me. And when he brought me back, I only wanted to see my cousin, to tell her who I was, but he forbade it. It would have been too dangerous, growled Strowl. We still don't know, yet, the depths of the conspiracy. Perhaps we never will. Who's talking? Lady Britannia. I'm sorry. I always find myself giving long explanations to short questions. When Lady Strowl asked if I would help, I should have begun by saying yes. I think that was China. Oh, no, whatever. Lady Britannia laughed at the change in Lord Strowl and Gina's expressions. No, I think that was Lady Britannia. I will help you, of course. Before this to turn out well, you must accomplish two things to the Emperor's satisfaction. First, you must prove with absolute certainty who is the power behind this plot you've uncovered. You must get someone to confess. And secondly, said Lord Strowl, nodding, we must prove that this is a matter worthy of His Imperial Majesty's consideration, and not merely a minor local concern. Lord Stryle, Lady Bessenia, and the woman who called herself Gina discussed how to accomplish their goals for a few hours more. When it was agreed on what had to be done, Lady Bessenia took her leave to find her ally. I know that name. Where do I know that name from? Stryle and Gina set off to the west, toward Camelon. It was not long after beginning their ride through the woods that they heard the sound of galloping hooves beat far up ahead. Lord Stryle unsheathed his sword and signaled for Gina to position her horse behind him. I need a drink, hold on. Too much reading and too many voices. At that moment, they were attacked on all sides. It was an ambush. 8 men armed with axes had been lying in wait. Lord Stryle quickly ganked Gina from her horse, pulling her behind him. He made a brief, deft motion with his hands. A ring of flame materialized around them and rushed outwards, striking their assailants. The men roared in pain and dropped to their knees. Lord Stryle jumped the horse over the closest one and galloped full speed westward. I thought you were an ambassador, not a mage, laughed Gina. I still believe there are times for diplomacy, replied Lord Stryle. The horse and rider they had heard before met them on the road. It was Normuth. My lord, it's the royal battle mage. He found out you two were in Edmonton. With considerable ease, I might add, Lord Ariel's voice boomed out of the woods. Normuth, Gina, and Lord Stryle scanned the dark trees, but they showed nothing. The battle mage's voice seemed to emanate from everywhere and nowhere. I'm sorry, my lord, cried Normuth. I tried to warn you as soon as I could. In your next life, perhaps you'll remember not to trust your plans to a drunkard, laughed Lord Earl. He had them in his sight, and the spell was unleashed. Normuth saw him first. By the light of the ball of fire that leapt from his fingertips. Later, Lord Ariel was to wonder himself what the fool had intended to do. Perhaps he was rushing forward to pull Lord Stryle out of the path. Perhaps he was trying to flee the path of destruction, and had simply moved left when he should have moved right. Perhaps, as unlikely as it seemed, he was willing to sacrifice himself to save his master. Whatever the reason, the result was the same. He got in the way. I really need more water. Hold on. Let me just get some more water. I'm really hurting my voice. Yeah. There was an explosion of energy that filled the night. An echoing boom that shook birds from the trees for a mile around. On the few square feet where Normuth and his horse had stood was nothing but black glass. They had been reduced to less than vapor. Gina and Lord Stryle were thrown back. Saying Normuth was dead? Yep. Ah. Gina and Lord Stryle were thrown back. Their horse, when it recovered its senses, galloped away as fast as it could in the lingering glowing aura of the spell's detonation. Lord Stryle looked straight into the woods and into the wide eyes of the battle mage. Damn! Said Lord Earl and began to run. The ambassador jumped to his feet and pursued. That was an expensive use of magic even for you, said Lord Stryle as he ran. Don't you know well enough not to use ranged spells unless you are certain your target would be blocked? I never thought that idiot. Lord Earl was struck from behind and knocked to the wet forest floor before he had a chance to finish his lamentation. It doesn't matter what you thought, said Lord Stryle calmly, flipping the battle mage around and pinning his arms to the ground with his knees. I'm not a battle mage, but I knew enough not to use my entire reserve on your little ambush. Perhaps it's a matter of philosophy. As a government agent, I feel inclined towards conservatism. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Whimpered Lord Errol. Norboth was a good man, one of the best, and so I'm going to hurt you quite a bit. The ambassador made a slight movement and his hands began to glow brightly. That's a certainty. How much more I'm going to hurt you after that depends on what you tell me. I want to hear about the former Duke Orleans. What do you want to know? Lord Ariel screamed. Let's start with everything, replied Lord Strahll, with perfect patience. Woof, these are long books. Alright, well that was The Mystery of Princess Talara Part 3 by Mera. And that was another reading of The Elder Scrolls. But for now, my name is Leo, and I will see you next time.